Hi guys, it's Andy from NismoTech. Today we're going to be concluding our review of the Warrior mechanical gaming keyboard from the guys over at Venom Gaming. I have done the unboxing video and first look at this, so if you do want to take a little bit more detailed look around the actual box and what you get inside, etc., then obviously go and check out the link down below in the description. And there's also a link down below to where you can actually go and purchase this particular keyboard as well. It really is a fantastic value for money gaming keyboard. Just going to very quickly have a look around the box. As you can see, it's very nicely branded with the Warrior branding along the top here of the keyboard. Also, it's mechanical switch, backlighting, it's got macro keys, etc. Various different functions. It's got multimedia keys, etc. Just moving it around to the back, obviously it mentions about the various different colours. We've got 3 different colour lighting options, which I'll show you down below. We've got 4 macro keys, and we've got obviously the red accent all the way around, and obviously on some of the keycaps. The other thing that you do get inside is the user instructions, which is obviously very helpful when coming to set the keyboard up and obviously learn how to actually record the macro keys and the various use of the media keys, and also the backlighting, etc. So obviously do make sure you do give that a good read. So let's now get on to the actual keyboard itself. Okay, so here she is in all its glory. This is the Warrior mechanical keyboard from Venom. At the moment we've not got the wrist support off, that's actually up at the top here, which I'll show you in a short while. But we're going to take a bit of a look around the actual keyboard itself. Obviously, as you can see, it's a black and red theme. The actual fascia to the entire top part of the actual keyboard is metal, which is sort of reasonably quite cold to touch, which is for me a little bit of a benefit, because obviously you can get a little bit hot and sweaty when gaming, so to also have that sort of coldness on the back, I think is something that's quite nice. As I mentioned in the unboxing video, I think it's quite an industrial rigid look. Obviously you've got a couple of exposed sort of nuts up along the top here. You've got this guard along the top here for the volume up and down, which is kind of like a metal disc that you obviously swivel left and right to adjust that. But it's a very unique, very different look to the actual keyboard. And obviously looking down along the actual profile, you still see the various different design features and the curves and the cutouts, etc. that are on there as well. Gonna look at the back to start with. Obviously we've got your standard risers along the top here. Would have probably been nice to see little bits of rubber on the top of them, although it didn't cause any real problems to myself with the keyboard moving around, because trust me, this is a heavy keyboard. It still would have been nice to have them included. You've obviously got a couple of strips of rubber down at the bottom there, but it would have been really nice to see a couple of little strips along the top. I see it's completely red on the back, with a little bit of Venom on there as well. There's no audio pass-through, there's no USB pass-through or anything of that nature. You've got a single cable coming out the top here, which is 1.5 meters in length, and it's a red and black braided cable, as you can see. Very nice cable, gold plated USB connector on the back, but a very decent length and a very decent cable, real high quality. It's quite a thick cable as well. So as we've sort of had a sort of look around the back and everything, we're going to take a look around the actual front of the main part of the keyboard. So obviously down the side here you've got your macro keys, there are 4 of them, and you've got your record button down here as well. You've got your WASD and obviously your arrow keys as well in the red keycaps, which I think looks really cool, really nice. Looking at the sort of keycaps themselves, obviously you can see the actual font that's actually on there. One thing that I'm not a great lover of, to be honest, is the actual writing that's actually on here. It looks very tight, very small, and not really my sort of choice. I probably would have preferred something slightly different to be done here, but nevertheless you can make them out. You do know where the keys are, etc. Got some LEDs along the top for num caps, win lock, and also to let you know that you are actually recording your macro onto the macro keys here. I believe it's around about 30 seconds of recording, and quite a number of keystrokes. I think it's like 20 or 30 keystrokes that it will actually record, and it actually saves it directly onto the keyboard. There's no software involved in any of this, so even if we were to unplug it, take the keyboard to a LAN party or anything like that nature, it's going to save the macro combination that you're actually doing on there as well. Along the top, you've got your usual array of multimedia keys. You have got volume up and down on here as well, which is a bit strange seeing as you've got a volume dial up at the top here. Maybe they could have thought a little bit more about the options available along the top, but for me that's not really any sort of deal breaker or anything of that nature. It's quite handy having it up along the top. You have got quite an unusual key here, which is the F11 key. Actually disables the actual keyboard itself. It locks the keyboard completely down, so no matter what key you press, it's actually locked. Could be beneficial to some. Some people will probably wonder why it's there, but again, to me, that's not a problem at all. Also, as you can hopefully see underneath, we'll take a couple of keys off in a minute. We've got this sort of white pearl background underneath the actual keycaps, which help with the illumination of the backlighting. The other thing as well to note is that the keys along the bottom here, the spacebar, the function key, the Windows key, etc., are slightly enlarged, which is really nice to see. It's a very nice chunky spacebar that the keyboard has. And overall, the layout, the keycaps, etc., and the way everything is orientated is really nice indeed. And for their first attempt at bringing a keyboard onto the market from Venom, this is a fantastic first attempt and fantastic keyboard to actually bring out as well. So we're going to go and take a closer look at some of the features and also some of the functions of the keyboard. Okay, so the first function we're going to look at is the macros down at the bottom left here. You've got 4 macro keys or profile keys down at the bottom here. When you're recording the macro, you can press up to 20 individual different key presses and it'll record for around about 30 seconds. So it's plenty enough time to get your various different key combinations recorded in. And essentially how you go about doing it is press the record key. Top right hand side, sorry, you get a blue flashing LED. You press the macro profile or the macro key you want to record. You then do your various different bits of typing and you press the record key again, and that then stores it within the actual memory here on the actual keyboard, so no matter where you take it, you've obviously got that particular macro. So I'm just going to go and record a macro now, just so you can see how sort of easy and simple it is. So we're going to go and press the record, we're going to go to macro 4, and press the record key again. And if I just quickly go and turn this around so you can actually have a look. There you go. It's very, very simple. I mean, most people these days know how to go about recording macros on keyboards, but it really is quite simple. And to actually clear the actual macro memory, you just press the record key, various different macro, and then obviously the record key again. That completely wipes it out. There is also another way that you can actually go about deleting all the macros that are stored within this memory. If you hold down the function key and the record key for around about 3 to 4 seconds, you'll see that the backlighting starts to flash, and that means obviously then that all the macros that are stored on the keyboard have been completely and totally erased. Okay, so now to some of the other special features about the actual keyboard. Pressing the function key and the Windows lock key, as hopefully you can see the little blue LED comes up here, it actually disables the Windows key on the actual keyboard, so you can obviously turn that on and off, which is ideal when you're obviously gaming. You've got the W and Q. What that does is basically increase the actual type rate on the actual key itself to obviously go a lot quicker, which is obviously ideal for certain scenarios within gaming. Obviously if you are a fast typer, then obviously that's really, really handy for you as well. Next on the list is function and W, and what that does is basically swap the WASD for the arrow keys down at the bottom here, so these effectively become WASD and your arrow keys are essentially moved up along the top here. Obviously some people do prefer to game using these with the WASD, so it's nice you have the functionality to be able to swap them along from the various different locations. Along the top you've got your media player, you've got volume up and down, and also you have your mute button. You've got stop, previous and pause and play, and on to the next track. You've got a dedicated button for your email and your browser. You've obviously got that keyboard lock. Like I said, that completely disables the actual keyboard itself completely, so you're not accidentally pressing any keys at all. So obviously that may be of benefits for yourself. And you've also got a calculator key down here as well. Okay, so now onto the backlighting option for the keyboard. Got a dedicated key down here for switching between the colours and to switch it off, which is the current state that it's in. Pressing it, and the first colour that you're greeted with is quite a nice, rich, deep red. Pressing it again, you've got a nice blue. And then finally you have a sort of pink and a purple, or a pinky purple colour as well. And obviously once you've found the colour that you want, you have got 4 levels of brightness adjustment by pressing the function key and the page up or page down, or the plus or minus on there. So it's at the highest setting at the moment, so we're just going to go and knock this down a couple of levels, and as you can see we have got the various different brightness levels on there as well. So I'm just going to go and show you now what the sort of background looks like on the actual keyboard with the keycaps actually removed from here. So we're just going to go and cycle through the actual different colours. Hopefully you can sort of see what it actually looks like there. It looks very good indeed. Obviously, like I mentioned, we have got a sort of white background for the actual light to actually come up through. And it definitely does the job. It's got a very, very good clearance, or not clearance, coverage across all the keys. As you can see there, obviously with the red behind the red keycaps, changing that to blue, it does really make them stand out very nicely indeed. So the keycaps can be removed, as you've already seen, and you can swap them out with cherry compatible keycaps as well. The ones on here are probably around about 1 millimeter bigger than the ones that I have on here on the keycap set that I already have. So they're about 1 millimeter slightly larger than them, but the different keys that I've got here from different keyboards all fit on the actual keyboard itself. Obviously they're mechanical switches, they're not kale, they're not cherry. They seem to be something that's specifically either designed for Venom or ones obviously they've actually used, and the way that they describe it is a mechanical shaft key with liquid silicon generating mechanical resilience with a lubricated keystroke feel. So like I said, they're not cherry or kale. They are sort of more or less a specific design for Venom for this particular keyboard. Now, when pressing the actual key down, the actuation point and the way that the actual keys feel, going sort of testing between all the various different cherry versions, the closest one that I've found is the brown cherry MX switch. That's the closest to the actual feel. So now that we've got the microphone in a bit closer, I'm going to hopefully attempt to give you a bit of a sound indication as to what the actual keycaps actually sound like. So we've got red, black, blue and brown cherry MX switches. That's the red. And then we've got the black. And we have the blue. And then finally the brown. So they're not really sort of matching any of the colour options. If anything, they're probably a little bit closer, in my opinion, to the brown switches. So now moving on to the installation of the wrist support, and I'll go over what my thoughts are on this in a moment, but it's very simple to actually go and install. All you have to do is line it up and give it a push on both sides, and obviously the lugs go into place, and there you have it. The actual wrist support is actually installed on the keyboard. Now I've obviously been using this keyboard for around about 3 to 4 weeks since I've had it, so I've sort of got quite accustomed to how the actual wrist support feels, and it's a very premium feel, a lot better than what I actually thought it would be. Quite like the Venom design down at the bottom right here. It's got the right amount of soft rubber along the top. You can get some keyboards that have got thicker rubber, which sort of make little bits come off on your wrist, or very sort of sticky. But for me, this is a fantastic finish that's been applied to it. Also for myself personally, it's of the right length and also of the right height for me to game comfortably and also tight for long periods of time as well. It really is quite a nice wrist support, and the overall sort of look and design, it does sort of complement the actual main body of the keyboard as well. So I've now been using the Warrior keyboard from Venom for around about 3 to 4 weeks as my daily driver, using it for gaming, for typing, social media, etc. So I've got a real sort of good feel for how the keyboard actually operates, what it feels like, etc. So onto the gaming experience from the Warrior keyboard. As I've already mentioned, for me personally, it's very similar to the Cherry Brown switches in terms of the way that they actually feel under your finger, the actuation point, etc. When typing on it, it does sort of give it a bit of a clunk, more of a chunky clunk, if that kind of makes sense. But it's a real positive experience when gaming. I didn't have any issues with regards to the way that it felt, any sort of delay in the actual key being pressed, any issues with the actuation point or anything like that nature. It is different from gaming on a Cherry MX keyboard or a KL keyboard. It is a slightly different experience, but once you get used to the keyboard, which took me around about 2 to 3 days to actually get used to how it actually felt and how it actually responded to my touch, it was a pleasure to game with. Very simple, very easy to use. I like the macro keys. The recording of the macros are very simple and very easy. The oversized spacebar is also a nice addition and very comfortable to use with your thumb. And obviously, as I mentioned, the wrist support as well on top of that does overall give it a very pleasing gaming experience. Moving on to the general day-to-day use of the keyboard, again, no problems at all with regards to typing for prolonged periods of time. Yes, the keyboard is potentially a little bit louder than the Browns, but you know, essentially you're not going to be necessarily using this particular keyboard in a office environment. So overall, onto my final thoughts about the Warrior keyboard. I've got to take into consideration that this is their first attempt at going into the mechanical gaming keyboard world. I think they've done a fantastic job. I like the overall design. I think it's a very nice, attractive, industrial, rigid looking design. I like the metal plate along the top. I think it's a nice introduction and quite a bold move from Venom to do something slightly different instead of using just plastic material. It does add to the weight, but also feels very good. And obviously with it being metal, it is slightly colder as well. You've obviously got the option to have and record up to 4 macros, which is good to see. You've got an array of multimedia keys along the top, and you've got a couple of options on your backlighting with backlighting adjustment with the brightness as well. So it's got a sort of entry level feel in terms of the features and specification of the keyboard, but overall as a complete package, I think they've done a fantastic job. So I'd like to say a massive thank you and congratulations to Venom on the Warrior keyboard. For me, it's a fantastic first attempt, great entry-level mechanical keyboard. And if you go and check out the link down below to where you can actually go and find out the current price of it, I think you'll be quite surprised. It's coming in at a very, very decent price. And as I've sort of mentioned in the unboxing video, I do firmly believe that a keyboard of this sort of specification and the way that it looks, it's going to be very appealing to those that are casual gamers, potentially semi-pro gamers as well. It wouldn't surprise me if a couple of months down the line we start seeing some of the professional and some of the actual various different esports teams using this particular keyboard as well. So I think it's going to make a big impact, and I think they've done a cracking job because it really is a very good, fantastic value for money mechanical keyboard. So big thank you to them. Don't forget to go and check out the links down below to where you can actually go and purchase it, find out a little bit more about the actual keyboard, and we'll look forward to seeing you in our next video. Thanks for watching our video, and we do hope you enjoyed it. Please do leave a comment down below and hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube and also visit our website NismoTech.com, where you'll find all the products we've done videos for, as well as our current giveaways and the latest tech news and press releases. We hope to see you again soon.